Hello YouTubers and welcome aboard. I am Noob Flyboy X and welcome back to F1 2018 Career Mode, ahead of the Hungarian Grand Prix. I recorded this video shortly after the unfortunate passing of Niki Lauda at age 70 from this world. It's going to be an awful shame to continue on without him, and it hit me quite hard at the time. Niki will be greatly missed by all of us. But here we go on to a lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix circuit. Coming down the front straightaway here in, I believe this is practice. Can't remember actually. Into the first corner there and into the first of the DRS zones of the new lap coming down here. Bit of an overtaking opportunity here as we head down the hill into the bit of a valley down here. Quick back and forth onto another short straightaway and up the hill and into the blind left-hander. That's a tricky corner sometimes. That's all right. Going down to a very long turn to the right here in the middle sector and coming towards the chicane, which is a bit of a difficult section to navigate. It's very narrow. It's easy to get up on those curves there, as you saw I did on the right side. Continuing on in the middle sector, it's a very curvy section, lots of back and forth. Not a whole lot of very long straightaways, so there's not a whole lot of room to get up to high top speeds. End of the middle sector here, coming down toward the final sector. Bit of another straightaway and a minor overtaking opportunity that I might have to worry about later in the race. Into the second to last corner, a very long left-hander. The pit lane entrance is just there on the right. Final corner, basically the opposite of second to last corner, long right-hander back onto the front straightaway and the second DRS zone, and there we are across the line. So that's the circuit that we've got to work with this weekend. As we move on, that's the end of qualifying one. We are in 8th place, so we are easily into Q2. In Q2, however, we get up to 6th as our best time, but later in the session, we've fallen down a little ways. We are down in 15th. We improve to 14th, but that looks like the best we can do. There's one more lap that we try to get, and we improve just slightly. But even with that improvement, it's still going to be out in Q2, in P13. So, we'll be starting the race from a ways back.
So, unfortunately, we've picked up some grid penalties, and we'll be starting further back than you expect. As for how bad it is, that'll depend on what the other drivers get.
It's always wonderful to come back to the lively Hungaro ring. A popular destination this, nice and close to the beautiful city of Budapest, with some exciting racing to boot. Who can forget Michael Schumacher pushing his old teammate Rubens Barrichello up towards the pit wall in 2010, or those great races of 2014 and 2015 as well. Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Kimi Raikkonen completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Vettel, Alonso, Sainz, Grosjean, and Sergio Perez, Ericsson, Ocon, Kevin Magnussen, and Hulkenberg, Leclerc, Stroll, Brendan Hartley, and Iceman, Gasly, and Stoffel van Dorn completes the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Keep your eyes open on the run to turn 1 and keep it clean. We want to come out in one piece. Good luck.
So we start just about near the very back of the grid due to a penalty that I incurred from changing out a very worn engine to a fresh one. That fresh engine actually helped me do quite well in qualifying compared to what I would have otherwise. Looking at the strategy here, we're going to stick with the one stop. Other cars are on the faster tire and will have to do too. We'll see if that pans out in the race. Any points today are for you, Niki. And with a quick send-off, it is lights out and the beginning of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly coming up our outside there has a good start, looking to pass us into turn 1. But I've got a clear run here on the outside as everyone else dives to the outside, rather. I was on the inside. There we are, up the inside of quite a lot of people. Bump with Esteban Ocon. Here's a replay of that start as we dive. Lots of cars. From just about the back of the grid, we are up to just about the halfway point there. We can see the contact with Esteban Ocon, and he has a collision with one of the Haas's. And we head down into the second corner here, get right up to the tail of Marcus Ericsson in the Sauber. Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz scrapping away up ahead of us. Sainz still challenging with Ericsson there as we head down through the valley and up toward the blind left. looking good so far off the start. We're only two places away from a points-paying position. There's Charles Leclerc looking up our outside, or rather Nico Hülkenberg. Leclerc just behind Hülkenberg. But if we can get some points, that will be good. We will be able to fulfill a contract requirement that we have at the moment if we can get 8th or better. Though at this point, I just like points. Doesn't matter about the contract. I've been doing well enough with the team recently that I think I can afford to miss that one goal and still be in good standing with them. As we come through to the end of the second sector here, into the middle sector, Ericsson is still just ahead of us. Very difficult to make a pass on this very narrow and twisting track, certainly in that section in the middle sector. Toward the last sector, into the hairpin on the second to last corner, and up towards the final corner. We're still looking very good. Even though we are on the slower tire here, it is going to be the strategy, I think, that comes good in this race. That's one of the things I was thinking about when I went out in Q2 and set my fastest time on the soft tires, I think. But I was out in Q2 anyway, so I would have had the choice, even if I mistook that, as we make a move on Ericsson for 11th place and begin to chase down the Spaniard Carlos Sainz in the Renault up ahead of us. But tire strategy, though, like I mentioned, after trying out the two-stop in Germany and seeing that not quite come good, I decided that we would just stick to one-stop strategies today, especially since this is a very narrow circuit where it's difficult to pass. One of the main passing opportunities of the lap is right down here at the end of the front straightaway. I'm trying to stick with Carlos Sainz, but he's a bit far ahead even for the 1 second gap that you need to be within to activate the DRS, so he's just a little too far ahead as we go into that main passing zone. On to the second at the end of the small straightaway here. And this second straightaway here with the DRS zone is really not quite long enough to make much of a difference unless you are very close, unless you begin very close to the car in front of you. And again, in the corners, I cannot quite keep with that McLaren? Renault. Sainz is in the McLaren next season. Following him through in the middle sector here, we're still trying to keep with him on lap 6. We're doing alright staying with him, as some other cars up ahead of us have made their pit stop. We are up to 9th, so that will be 2 points for our championship. We need to score 3. Which means that 8th, that offers 4 points, is the lowest we can finish to meet that requirement. But here's where we start to see our pit strategy working, as Sainz also ducks into the pits, and we'll have to carry on after the pink Force India of Sergio Perez up ahead of us. Onto the front straightaway, activate the DRS, because we had that from the detection zone off of Sainz. Sebastian Vettel has also made an early stop. He is now just behind us as we head down into the braking zone. There's only one detection zone for the DRS, so we get it again on Sergio Perez here as we head down this section again towards the valley. On lap 8, Perez is still just ahead of us. We've been closing him in very slowly, and we're close enough here. I was looking to make a move on the front straightaway, but now is when Perez decides to go with it for his pit stop and get off his purple striped Ultra Softs. Those things wear out very quickly around here. It only lasted most of the field 5 to 6 laps, and it lasted Perez 8. We've passed up one of the Red Bulls, it looks like, Daniel Ricciardo, and the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas in the pit lane on lap 9, in the beginning of lap 9 here. We get a little bit of DRS assistance here as well, coming off of the chase that we had going on Sergio Perez. And we are just about in clean air at the moment. Verstappen is a long ways ahead of us, and Bottas and Ricciardo are a ways back. And right now we're actually running in the podium places, in 3rd place, doing quite well. Valtteri Bottas, though, eventually does catch us by lap 11. That Mercedes is very, very quick around here, even by, comparison to a lot of the other cars. Unfortunately, my Williams is still bad in the twisty sections of the end of the first sector and most of the second sector. So, unfortunately, he has caught us. He's lined up a pass on us as we head toward the beginning of lap 12 on the front straightaway. Pulls to the inside. I see no reason to hold him up to resist him here. We're out of the podium places, but I don't think a podium was in their cards for us today, but we'll see. I'd just like to see if my strategy works, because going long on the soft tires and on the medium tires is going to be a little bit of a stretch here. They will start to wear out towards the end of this race. It is going to be a bit tricky. When we do come towards our pit stop, though, Daniel Ricciardo, who has come out on the medium tires behind us, he's just about caught us as well. But it's now time for us to get off this rubber, get onto a fresh set of tires. It'll be the mediums for us as well, like Ricciardo, as you see him head down the pit straightaway there. into the pit lane for us. Count on Williams as usual for a quick stop, and once we get out we'll see where we feed out into the race and just see about holding that position. We're basically one pit stop ahead of everyone else here. As we come out of the pit lane though, we've already got some competition. There's Ericsson on our outside, and he has not seen us come out of the pit lane and turns in on us a little bit. That puts us wheel to wheel with the Sauber as we head down to the beginning of the first sector here. Onto that second corner there. Long corner, and we're wheel to wheel through the entirety of it, heading down into the valley. I see no reason to stay with him there and back out, let him have that position. Ericsson will carry on just for the rest of that lap. We have no need to worry about him being in position here because he is beginning his second stop right here. So we are good to carry on. We're up into 7th place, and that's looking pretty good. Sebastian Vettel is just ahead of us. And so from here, it's all about being consistent, all about, just keeping our time up and conserving the tires so that we have some grip to work with later in the race. It's a very, very quiet middle section of this race for us for the time being. Alonso is more than 3 seconds in trail of us in his McLaren, and Vettel is a ways up the road in his Ferrari. And we're unlikely to catch the Ferrari, as it is also very high on performance, rivaling the Mercedes at this point in the season, if not actually technically ahead on performance. I'll need to look at the performance chart later. But for now, you know the drill. It's get into a rhythm with the Initial D music in the background. So here we go, into the blind left, keeping that together very nicely. Into this long turn here. I'd been falling off the racing line quite a bit earlier, going a bit narrow on the exit, but that lap I managed to hold it together very well on the line. Still turned in a little early and went over the curves of the chicane there, but not terribly. Through the middle sector, like I mentioned, we're still not too good through here, but we're doing well enough just to keep Alonso behind us, and even if we don't keep Alonso behind us for the time being, 8th is enough for us to meet our points requirement. As we come to the end of the second sector, Vettel is 7 seconds ahead of us. Alonso just a little bit more than 3 seconds in trail, so no real danger from anyone. It's an empty road. And as long as we have that to work with, we're going to make the most of it. Coming toward the end of the lap, still looking very good. I'm wondering if or when those cars ahead of us are going to make another pit stop, because that could put us in contention with some of the top teams. Because we are still within their pit stop window, and we'll be battling with them if they do 2 stops. I'm thinking a lot of them, or at least some of them, will do 2-stop strategies, just because they earlier, seem to do they pit in very early, which suggests to me that they went from ultra softs perhaps onto another set of ultra softs, and then perhaps like Ricciardo just went to mediums and might finish off on a set of ultras. Either way, we pass up Lewis Hamilton and then Sebastian Vettel in the pits on lap 21 and then 22, because they also have made pit stops. Brendan Hartley is out of the race on lap 24, and then getting up toward the end of lap 25, Esteban Ocon has also suffered a mechanical failure and is out of the race. By then, Lewis Hamilton has come out of the pits and has closed up on us after being a little ways behind. Hamilton also goes to the inside. I fight a little bit. I stay to the outside, leaving him the room, but that that Mercedes is much better in through the corners than my Williams, so he gets better speed on the apex and comes out ahead. I'm not terribly worried though. After the 2 pit stops that Hamilton and Vettel made, I'm in 6th place now that Hamilton has passed me. So now it is a question of, can I hold my tires together? Can I make them work on the final lap here? Do these mediums still have enough grip to hold behind 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel in a very competitive Ferrari? I put in a personal best lap there just to, prove my challenge to him. There's the first major overtaking opportunity dealt with, and Vettel is still behind me. There's a bit of one here. I'm in the middle of the road trying to deny him an opportunity. I want this 6th place finish, even though 7th would still easily be good enough to fulfill my requirement. That's all the passing opportunities done until the end of the middle sector and the beginning of the 3rd sector. I run a little wide on the exit. There's another little bit of a passing opportunity. Vettel couldn't make a move there. We've just about got him here at the end of the race. Coming through the second to last corner, no real passing opportunity here, unless Vettel can be very good on his acceleration out of this last corner. I went a little wide, but not wide enough to offer him a gap. Onto the front straightaway, and Vettel doesn't have the acceleration to do it. We've got 6th.
Okay, pick up rubber.
to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see now the drivers are making their way out. We need Red Bull fighting in the front. They do an incredible amount for Formula One. And that's another winner's trophy heading back to Milton Keynes.
So Daniel Ricciardo wins in Hungary for Red Bull. A bit of an unexpected finish, but also on the podium the two Finns, Valtteri Bottas in second and Kimi Räikkönen in third. Very good day for the top teams, and Valtteri Bottas will extend his lead at the top of the Drivers' Championship over Sebastian Vettel. For us, it's a good day. We fulfilled our contract requirements. We've been doing well here in the Constructors' Championship as well, doing it solo. Unfortunately though, Lance Stroll, for a moment he was in the points with us, but then he had to make his stop, and we were unable to come home together, both in the points. So we'll have to keep upgrading the car, have to keep working towards our longer goal, but I have made good on my promises to you guys, making more exciting race and getting some points. So with that, we'll be heading on to the Belgian Grand Prix. That race was one heck of a Grand Prix for me back in F1 2011, so we'll be hoping for a good result there this time. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.